Today, we are sponsored by the Airway Kingdom Network. Feel free to check out the following content: What's Up Bro, Three Amigos, and J&J Productions. Feel free to check out those great content today.
Network 3000 presents.
Hello everyone, I'm David here, and welcome to the next episode of the 3000 Heroes here for today. It is March 25th, 2026, and today we have two great interviews for all of you to enjoy. We have our first one with Chris Braun, who is a basketball fan and the host of the Ball podcast. We'll be talking to him about those uh, two things right there. And then we have a game of Deal or No Deal Jackpot where somebody can win a whole lot of cash, but only if they make the right decisions. And then we have Nicholas. I'm sorry, Nick, I cannot pronounce your last name. But we're going to talk to him about how he got into hockey and being part of the Lockdown Sports Network. And yeah, that is the schedule for tonight. So hope you all enjoyed that. And here are the two interviews coming up right up, starting right now with this first one with Chris. So hope you all enjoy. All right, everyone, it is now time for the next interview here on the Network 1000 YouTube page. Please welcome Chris Braun. How you doing, Chris?
Hey man, appreciate you having me on, buddy.
You're welcome. For those who don't know who Chris is, he is the host of the Off the Ball podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know what that podcast is, feel free to explain that for me.
Off the ball pod. So it's a basketball podcast.
Yeah.
I started it off talking about did a lot of NBA draft stuff, covering the draft and doing a lot of interviews with players. Especially in the COVID era where there was a lot of time and guys were more readily available. So I did a lot of that to start it off as well. But it's mostly talking about the NBA, the draft. I'm big on the NBA draft, high school stuff, recruiting, college basketball. It's a mixture of all things basketball essentially. So been doing this
Okay.
since 2019 and it's still going
Mm.
strong.
What inspired you to make that podcast back in 2019?
What inspired me was I've always dabbled in podcasting, even when it wasn't
Yeah.
a real thing. I'm 37, so um,
Okay.
I dabbled in a little bit, and then but never was consistent. I would do a few shows, and then but 2019, I was um, looking. I needed something to do. I was like, you know what, you know, I wanted something
Yeah.
exciting to do, and I was like, all right, I do. I always like talking sports and basketball. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try it out again. So I
Yeah.
got a mic on Amazon, a $15 mic, and just started doing it from like that. And then
Hmm.
I just was like, okay. I did a podcast, and I got it got some viewership. I was like, okay, let's keep going and let's upgrade the equipment. And I got a better mic and started just growing. And I was like, okay, things are starting to go well. And then I got my first big guest, who was a Matt Babcock, who was he was a former agent and scout, and his dad was a part of the Milwaukee Bucks
Hmm.
office that found Giannis. So he was my first guest, and that,
Oh, okay.
that show went well, and it went from there. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing, and It's, at one point it was a top 100 sports podcast a few years back. That was pretty cool. It didn't
Yep.
last long, but it was, I was there for, even if it was for 15 minutes, it was
Yeah.
good. But yeah, no, it was just, I love talking basketball. So I would get people on, talk about their basketball journey. I did a lot of that storytelling, basketball storytelling about people, and again, getting to know some of the player, like high school players and guys who were played overseas. Talk about that journey, because guys who play overseas, we kind of know a lot about the guys in the NBA, their journeys, but to
Mhm.
talk about guys playing overseas, seeing how their journey is, it's definitely unique. So that was fun doing that, and then just talking, obviously NBA basketball, but the draft is something I talk a lot about. Um,
Mhm.
which is very big. I love talking to draft. I actually doing some stuff now for the draft. So, it
Okay.
just I just love talking to hoop, bro. I just love it.
Speaking of the NBA draft, Cooper Flag, he is an amazing player.
Hmm.
Um, from the Dallas Mavericks,
Yeah,
NBA team, and of course, he started at UConn, which is a two-time uh, champ this decade. Area of uh, oh wait a minute,
well,
he
you're the
started
Duke
out
guy. You
two.
do.
It says
I'm
here
a Duke
choosing them
fan, so
over.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, choosing
UConn's a
them
great
over.
program too, though. We can't.
Yeah,
They've done a lot of good things, and they got a good team this year too. That could possibly win another championship. But yeah, he's a Duke guy. Cooper Flag.
yeah. It said I got confused because it also says UConn here on the Google thing, um, but do you think he'll stick with the Mavericks, for on time, or will he go to free agency sometime in his career?
Oh
What do you
man,
think?
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because it's you think about he's definitely going to sign a rookie max extension when that's available in 3 years.
Hmm.
So at least I think he's there for at least 5 years before we even think about if
Yeah,
he's going to be there long term, because most guys are always gonna, unless something catastrophic happens, which I mean stuff has it's pretty a lot of catastrophic things that happened to Dallas in the last year and a half with trading Luca, and AD's AD got traded, and then Kyrie being hurt. So a lot has happened since they went to the finals a couple years ago. So, but
yeah,
those in 5 years, like I said, he's going to sign the rookie max. So he's not going to. That's not. He's going to be there for at least the next 5 years minimum. Whether after that, who knows? Maybe they strike gold and maybe get another high pick and pair him up with someone. But I think he's there for at least we don't have to think about that for another 4 to 5 years. I think before if they're in the same spot, then we could think about, yeah, it's going to be a little bit before we think about where if he's going to be there long term.
absolutely. Um, so about your podcast, what equipment do you use nowadays to like record podcasts? Like, do you use StreamYard or
Yeah.
um? Okay,
So
yeah,
I have an audio board, a Rodecaster Pro, the first one that came out. I got that like 5 years ago. Like I said, that was a part of the
mm,
whole investing. If you want to have a better show, better quality, you got to invest. So I spent a few dollars on that. It was pretty expensive, but it was worth it. I still use it to this day. And I use a few software tools. I use StreamYard. To me, I've used a few different audio hosts. You know,
yeah.
uh,
That's what I was gonna ask.
but then I don't know. They just StreamYard would always. I always like StreamYard. It's just easy to use, and they have a lot of cool things that they updated with. So I like them. Then I have some editing tools I use. If I want to edit, add music, whatever. So yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I use. I use StreamYard. StreamYard to me is probably the best out of all of them.
I agree. I use this all the time for my stuff. So, um, but how did it get into basketball? Because a lot of people I talk to say that of course I know you're um a past generation, like you grew up a different watching a different generation of basketball back in the day, but um uh, how did you fall in love with basketball, and do you think basketball is still a good sport today, despite all the players getting injured, despite players sitting out last minute? We saw it the other week where the Lakers set out all their five starters, in a regular game where people paid a whole bunch of money for it.
Mhm.
Um, so what's your thoughts on that? And of course, how did it get into the game?
Um, Fell in love with basketball in the '90s with the Knicks. They were. I think they're the only team to make the playoffs every year in the '90s. So
Hmm.
just growing up watching them, being living in New York, it just basketball is just in your DNA. So it was
Yeah.
just there wasn't a player essentially that I fell in love with. There were players I liked. Like I love Grant Hill growing up, Penny Hardaway, Patrick Ewing, those guys, obviously Jordan,
Yeah.
uh, then as I got older, it was like Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant. I loved Ron Artest. I try to play like Ron Artest. Um, but but as far as like the state of the NBA now, I know it's different. It's a different game, but it's just it's
Yeah,
with the times. Like everyone likes to complain, but that's kind of the world we live in. Everybody just complains about the new things. Everything new,
yeah.
nobody likes. Everything in the past is better. I tend to
People
not.
pe people say, sorry to interrupt, but people say, "Oh, the game is just boring." Like they're just going back and forth on the court and all that,
Mhm.
which I can kind of see but
Yeah.
it's not the one thing I'll give. Even though today's game of the NBA is not as exciting to me as it once was, because I like hockey more in my opinion because there's
Mhm.
more action and all
Oh,
that. We always saw that with the Olympics not too long ago.
mhm.
Um, but the one thing I'll give the NBA credit for, um, uh, baseball is my favorite sport, but with the NBA, they have so rich history, and I'm not just saying that as a Celtics fan myself, but just seeing all the players with their stats and the way that the APA, came to life, you know, it's just an incredible story. I've been to the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, which is near my area. Um, it's just I give the APA so much credit for just the old fashioned history with the Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Jerry West. Like there's so many great players, and back then, like Michael Jordan, of course. Um, you know, do you have any favorite memories of the old days of basketball like that? Because I give the NBA a lot of credit for their history like that, and of course, you know, it's pretty amazing how they operate with those
Yeah, I would say
that history.
the things I do miss are just the rivalries. Like
Yeah,
being like a Knicks fan, like we had rivalries with the Bulls and the Miami Heat,
Boston.
the Boston Celtics, the Indiana Pacers, and obviously we have rivalries with the Pacers still. And I I, I hope the Knicks Bulls becomes a thing. The Bulls got to get their act together. Hopefully they
Yeah,
do that.
I like the Bulls because
Yeah,
with Michael Jordan, and I just wished. Uh, I actually have something to show you in a bit, but you know they they had such great teams in the '90s, but since Michael Jordan left, they haven't been the same since. I just don't get it.
yeah, they haven't been the same since, but they still sell out, which is crazy. So if they ever get a good team, even like yeah, those hats are the best too. Like just
Yeah,
the vintageness of the NBA is what they do good. They do well with.
yeah,
So
and
I like
the
that.
all broadcasts that they have with Bob Costas and all those great
Yeah, yeah. Like I
broadcasters.
like that they brought back NBA on NBC. Like that's
Yeah,
nostalgia. Like you don't want too much nostalgia.
uh-huh,
A little bit it doesn't hurt. So I like that they brought back, the NBA on NBC. That brings back some old good memories and stuff. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean the rivalries. I mean, which is there's rivalries, but it's just maybe not as intense. But it's a different era of basketball. So,
yeah,
uh, other things. I mean, not too much. I'm not one of those older guys that glamour over the '90s. Like it was cool. I grew up with it. It's but I
hmm
don't mind this style today, like fast paced. These guys are bigger, stronger, faster. These guys are really great athletes. I think a lot of the negativity around basketball at times is just because we have
not
so much
much, not
access.
much action.
Yeah, I think we have so much like think about it. Me growing up in the '90s, like I couldn't watch every game. Like
Yeah,
that's impossible. Like I had to either go watch the 6 p.m. Sports Center or the
yeah,
morning Sports Center or the paper. There's newspapers. People forget about those things. Newspaper or somehow go online and figure out what the scores was. That's so
yeah.
there wasn't as much access. Where now, I mean, there's League Pass. And the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We know
Highlights. Yeah,
you only have to watch the games to know what's going on. That's the thing with the league, is you don't have to
yeah,
watch any game and you can know exactly what's going on. That's a good thing and a bad thing. It could lead to some bad basketball discourse, but
yeah,
I think I think the game is in a good spot. There's a lot of great young talent. Yeah, the injuries are a thing, but we also have to remember these guys are getting paid a lot more than ever before.
yeah.
The $70 million contracts, like I need to protect that
Look
investment.
at
So
Jason Tatum.
yeah, Jason Tatum. I mean, you got him, and he's he might be coming back, but he's a freak of nature. But I understand people get upset when players don't play. I think they want to play. I think it's more of a management saying, and
That's what
also
I think too.
yeah, it's a management thing, and just like with the way of sports science has evolved, they really know like, hey, you're maxed out. You need to take a few days off so we can get you back. Because listen, the goal is to win a championship, and I think most fans, yes, they get disappointed if they pay money and certain stars aren't playing, but I
I
think
would hate that.
and that would suck, but I think most fans are they want to see their teams win a championship. So if that means you don't get to see Luka play, he only plays 66 games, but if I told you you're going to win a championship, I think you
You know,
take that.
yeah,
You'll take that. Like if Jason Tatum comes back and they win a championship, you're not going to care that he missed, the whole season. You're going to care that, oh, we won a championship. So I think
yeah,
people pick and choose where they want to argue about, but at the end of the day, if your team wins the championship or they make a deep run, you're just not going to care that they missed 20 games because they had to
yeah.
their guy. Like you're going to care that, oh, we hoisted the Larry O'Brien trophy, and that's ultimately what fans only care about. So
Speaking of trophies, the NBA Cup. A lot of people are complaining about that. What do you think about that changed in recent years?
the NBA Cup, I wasn't a fan of it. I still think
No.
there's no real, I shouldn't say value to it, but it does seem like the players throughout the last few years have cared a little bit more about it. But you know, um, I'm it is what it is. Like I don't have too much. Like I like when they implemented the
I
play-in.
don't. I don't like
I
the
wasn't crazy
boards.
about the play-in, and then it grew on me really fast. Like, okay, I just don't want too many tournaments. We don't need a tournament for everything,
Yeah,
but I do. I don't mind the in-season tournament. It's never going to be like I know they want to implement like a soccer style. That's like a whole generation. That we won't know if this really matters for like maybe till the next generation, till my
yeah.
son my age, or something like that, or maybe even longer than that, like his kid. You
Like
know,
we're not college basketball. They have mini tournaments as well,
yeah,
and this is
yeah,
like
and so like it's gonna be this is only what let's say the Lakers won the first one, Bucks,
yeah.
uh, who won it last
I
year
think
for.
this is the. I think this is the third one.
This was the
Uh,
third year, so I mean
yeah,
it's in infancy, so it's gonna take a while before we see if it's truly made a change. Do players really care?
yeah.
It's just always tough to implement like soccer, things and
I don't
implement it
know.
to basketball. And I get it, um, to change it up, get a little bit more incentives for regular season games. But well, it's gonna take a while before we really know like if this is really works. But hey, the Knicks
And
won the cup, so it's cool. it's a cool thing. It gives you something to look forward to. Like I was once the Knicks were in it. I guess it's also based on if your team's in it. Like the Knicks were in it, they had a chance. So like, oh, I was invested. So you know,
Yeah.
a little bit more excitement if your team is in it. But if your team's not in it, I don't think you really like, yo, you're gonna watch the Cup games today. I don't really think
Yeah.
people are. It doesn't get guys excited if your team's not in it.
I also really don't like the fours that they put in. It doesn't look good. You
You
know.
know, I that's an old visual thing. I think uh, as I got into like the vortex of basketball and understanding like the little intricacies to try to get the viewer to stay on the channel. I think it's as simple as you get your remote and you're flicking, and then you see a bright red court, and that's gonna make you be like, "Oh, what's that?" And
Yeah.
that's what they do is trying to get the viewer's attention, and I think that's what their thought process with the courts and making OKC all blue and the Knicks all blue is like when you're flipping through the channels, you see that, and that's gonna stop you like, oh, that's an all red court, what's that? And then you click on it's the Bulls versus whoever.
Yeah.
I think it's all visuals to get the viewer to stay and watch it, because
To
if you
stay
see
in it.
that
Because
flicking, yeah, you see that flicking through
yeah.
your TV, you're gonna be like, oh, what was that? Oh, red court. You're not, because you're used to the basic hardwood, the brown,
There,
you
there's
know, the,
also other regular games going on too, so I can
yeah.
see
So it's
sense.
like, oh, that's different. And then you see that,
Yeah.
oh, it's a cup game. All right, this game means more. All right, maybe I'll watch this. Boom. So I think it's all
Yeah.
visual. Instead, it's probably not ideal, but they
Yeah.
changed it up so they can. You're clicking through you're going through the guide. You see the Bulls, and it's like, oh, the whole red core. What's that? Anyone's going to be interested in seeing what that is. Why is this court red? It's not their
Yeah.
typical regular court. Because if you're flicking through and it's just a regular court, you're not going to think anything of it. But if it's blue, if it's
Yeah.
green, you're going to be like, oh, what was that? And it's just going to get you in. Now you're in, and then now
Yeah.
you're more likely to stay and watch the game because it's a green court, it's a blue court, orange court, whatever color it is. It is. So I think that's what they're doing, was not to like just do it for nothing. I think they did it with that purpose. In
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah. And speaking of TV, what is your favorite? I'm talking about nowadays, this season. Your favorite national broadcast presentation of the games. Like, what is your favorite national broadcast?
Oh, what like what
Like
like
ES,
ESPN.
ESPN? Yeah.
Okay, I get you. I mean NBC. I mean Iron Eagle's good on NBC. I actually interviewed him last year, 2 years
Really?
ago. He's really cool, Iron Eagle. Uh,
Okay.
Mike Breen, obviously on the ABC. He calls the Knicks games on MSG too, so he's my guy. He's my go-to.
Hmm.
The Like I said, the prime, with Iron Eagle, they've gotten good. No, he's on NBC. Prime is solid. Honestly, I like all the broadcasts. I don't really have an issue. I like listening to other teams' broadcasts too. Like when I put on,
The radio's good too.
yeah, the radio. Like I love listening to basketball on radio. I really
Yeah.
enjoy it. Like because it makes you have to visualize what's happening. And I
Yeah.
tell people that a lot. Like if you want to really understand basketball, just listen to it on the radio, and then
Yeah.
visualize what you think is happening. And that'll help your basketball intellect. Like, because then you have to really think about what's happening and trying to envision. Okay, Giannis is sending a down screen. Okay, so this guy's okay, that's what I envision. And then if you want to watch the game later, and you're like, I see what was going on there. To me, I love listening. Like if I have a long car ride, I'll listen to the game, and I don't really care about broadcasters. Like I'll listen to if it's
Yeah.
sometimes I won't even listen to the Knicks broadcast. I'll listen to if they're playing the Bulls or the Charlotte Hornets or whoever. I'll listen to that. I just want to listen to it and visualize and try to figure out what's going on when they're talking. I think being a radio basketball broadcaster it's such a tough job because you really have to try to visualize to the audience what's going
Yeah.
on at such a fast pace. Like I can imagine hockey being the same thing too. Like those two sports, being so fast paced, where like football and baseball, there's could be a lot of downtime, and you can kind of
Yeah.
you can probably picture it better. Where in football, I mean, where in basketball and hockey, it's everything's pop, 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 pop. You really got to be quick with it. So that gets your mind going. So you're like, oh, okay, I think this is what's happening. Boom, boom, boom. So I love listening to it on the radio and stuff. But I don't really have
Yeah.
a. I love watching basketball. Sometimes I don't even have. I'll mute it sometimes. I like to always write. Do my notes and stuff, and I'll
Yeah.
sometimes I won't even have it on, but you know any
I have.
broadcast. I mean, the Amazon is doing good. The Prime, the NBC is good. ABC,
Yeah.
MSG where I watch the Knicks is good, and then like radio stuff. I listen to a lot of radio. With the long.
You like Tyler Murray?
Who?
Tyler Murray, your Knicks announcer, Tyler Murray.
Oh, the new guy. Yeah, yeah, he's not bad.
Yeah.
He's not bad. I know people complain
Yeah.
about him, but no, he's not bad. He calls a good game.
He used to work for the Sox, which is this park right here. I have
Oh,
one. So
okay.
he used to work for a minor league baseball team. So
Oh,
I
he has
sometimes
an
check
announcer
him out.
voice, man. He's
Yeah.
he was born to do this. He definitely has an announcer voice, and he gets to work with
Yeah.
Clyde Frazier a lot. So that must be a joy for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Um. So, and I have Sirius XM for a reason because I
Yeah,
can
me
get
too.
more stuff. You know, I can listen to any game if I wanted to, and it's just easier for me to work on things while listening to the game. So that's why I mean, I'll watch the game, the games as well, but I'm becoming more of a radio person these days.
Yeah,
So
radios. If you really want to understand basketball more, listen to the
yeah,
game on the radio, and then
yeah,
visualize what you think is happening, and try to match it, and then watch the game later and see if you're right on how you visualized it. It's the
yeah,
best way. I love listening to it on radio.
yeah, of course. Um, now I how many basketball games at the Garden you been to?
Um, not as much as you probably think, simply because it's very expensive.
Yeah,
As you can imagine, to go
a
to a game.
bunch of celebrities
And
there. A
honestly,
bunch.
like it's cool to go to a game once in a while, but like I don't know, just on top of the traveling home, it's not fun. But I
Hmm.
I just like watching the game on the TV on my TV, or like I said,
Yeah.
listening to the game. But I've probably been to around, I would say 15, 20 games.
Okay.
Maybe more on the road. I've been to a lot of road Nick games simply because it was cheaper. It's cheaper sometimes to go to road Nick games, but I would say at the Garden, I would say 15 to 20, which is not a lot, but like I said, it's not
I've
it's
been
not,
to
it's not
I've been
cheap to
to
go there.
two Celtics games. I've been to two Celtics games. So
Mhm.
um, and I was uh very happy. I mean, I haven't been to a playoff. Haven't been to a playoff
Yeah, I've
game.
never been to a playoff Knicks game either.
Okay. Yeah. I
No.
never been to one, but I can only imagine the electricity in that building
Yeah, I
for
mean,
one.
I have plenty of friends who have gone, who are season ticket holders, and
Yeah.
have gone to games, and I just
Mm,
my budget doesn't my budget isn't there
yeah.
for Knicks playoff. Well, maybe this year. Maybe this year I'll
Mm,
scrap a few more dollars. Maybe
yeah.
do some time to get into a playoff. I'll probably go to a playoff Nick game this year if it's not too crazy. But yeah, haven't been to a Nick
Yeah.
playoff. That's got to get that on my bucket. I've been to Yankees playoff games. I've been to a Giant playoff game. But not a Nick
Mhm.
one. That maybe this year.
Yeah. And of course, those tickets are very expensive, especially with, at the Garden, especially with how many celebrities that they are there, is crazy with the celebrities that tune in
Oh yeah,
there.
for sure.
Um, but and I can only imagine the courtside tickets that
I don't
include.
even. There's no even. I don't even look
I
at
think it's
those.
for I think it's for celebrities only, if I'm being honest.
I mean, no, you can get it, but I mean that's like a year's salary for me. So
Yeah,
yeah, I can't. I
yeah,
can't do it. I'll get in trouble.
yeah. Um. So what do you think about the New York Knicks so far this season? You guys were the favorites going into the season, but with the recent news of, depending on the, this when this airs, but with the news of Jason Tatum coming back to the Boston Celtics, do you guys still, you know, I think guys are being at third place, behind the Celtics actually by one game. Do you still see yourselves going to the playoffs right now? And what does it take for that to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll definitely be. I mean, unless everybody gets hurt, then
Yeah.
I think we're safe as far as being a top 6 seed. But as far as championship hopes, maybe
Hmm.
going into the season, I was very, you know, very optimistic that they can make a finals run. Maybe not win it, but a finals run. Now, maybe not as optimistic as I once was with not just Boston and maybe Jason Tatum coming back, but like the Cleveland Cavaliers. They feel like they have a
I,
different
I
identity.
thought they were. I thought they were going to be in first place all the way this year, but they're in fourth place right now.
Yeah,
They're
and
winning.
but they've been playing a lot better basketball since James Harden got there. So they're a team that
Okay.
and they unlock there. It feels like James Harden's unlocking those bigs. So that's something I kind of worry about. But and then the Pistons are just playing absolutely tremendous. I mean, they got the second best record in the NBA. Cade might win MVP. So they're dumb. So maybe not as optimistic. I still think this team should make it to the conference finals and should
Hmm.
still have a good shot to make it to the final. I still think they have a championship caliber team, or at least to get there. Winning it is different.
Yeah.
But depending on the matchup, I think they can beat whoever they play in the finals. But got to get there first. I haven't been there since '99, but I feel good. They're still working out some things. The defense has been a lot better. The last 15 games have been like a top 10 defense. You know, um,
Uh
maybe even
huh.
higher. But that was the thing that was, they went through a little funk beginning of the year. Like, defensively wasn't good, but they've picked up the defensive intensity, which I like. And you know, uh, Brunson
Yeah.
and Towns are the other keys. If Brunson and Towns play like they're all star, all NBA, all NBA type players like they were last year, they should be a finals team. Despite Boston's, if they can't get past Boston dealing with Tatum just coming back from a massive Achilles injury, then
Yeah.
shows a lot. That shows a lot about this team, and not in a good way. So, they
Yeah.
should be able to get to the finals. Like
Yeah.
Detroit is a young team with a lot of for a team that's that good, they still have some flaws. If Cade's not going, if like the other night, Cade shot like 4 of 20, it felt like, and
Mm.
they lost. If he's not going, he's the engine. If he's not
Yeah.
going, they struggle. Cleveland, we got to see how Harden and Donovan Mitchell play in the playoffs together. The Knicks, they've been together the whole year. So
Yeah.
they have the chemistry. This team has been a lot of the main pieces together for 2 years. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not as optimistic as I once was, but I still feel pretty good overall that they can get to the finals. Like I'd be really disappointed if they don't get to the finals, unless it's injuries, of course. If like everyone gets hurt,
Yeah.
like 2 years ago, what happened to us? But if they're
Yeah.
healthy,
I remember
they
that.
they should get. Listen, the healthiest teams make it to the finals. Make a deep run. So if they stay healthy, they should make the finals. They really should. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Indeed. And you gotta be careful of Cleveland too. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but um, what do you have a favorite player on this next team this season?
I'm not really a player guy. Like I don't have a favorite player. Like there's no one on the Knicks.
Yeah.
I don't even have a jersey of anyone on the Knicks right now.
Yeah.
I just root for the team. I'm about the team. When it comes to my team, I don't root for player. I root for the team success. Like because
Yeah.
that's what it takes to win, and I want to see the team win. Because no matter what, like Towns could be gone next year. Like I have no loyalty to Towns. I have no loyalty to I'm loyal to the being a Knicks fan, and that's what I care
Yeah.
about. So, no, I mean obviously I have your players you root for, but I root for all of them. So like they're all my favorite
Yeah.
players. If they're all doing good, that means we're doing good. I don't
Yep.
root. You'll see some people root against certain players because they're just. I want to see everyone do good. So if you're doing good, cool. I'm gonna root for you.
Yep.
If I don't think you're doing good, then hope you get traded or whatever, cut. But no, I don't root for because I root for all them all. Whoever gets the ball. If Alvarado has the ball, he's my favorite player at that moment. Get a bucket. Mitchell Robinson, Brunson, whoever is putting forward, the right
Yeah.
thing to help us win basketball games. I'm rooting for you. So no real favorite players. I root for the team.
100%. Um, do you have Oh, speaking of players, before I forget, people say, of course, Michael Jordan is the GOAT, which he should be, but there's a lot of people also that debate that you know, Bill Russell should be the GOAT because of all the rings that he has. Also, people say that Kobe Bryant should be the GOAT. Do you think those two, should be in that category? Especially with also Bill Russell with all the rings he has, but that was in a different era of basketball when it first, started in that format.
That's the thing is when you do the whole goat discussion, it's a subjective topic. It,
Yeah,
whoever you think is the goat, there's people who might think Magic Johnson's the goat. They might say Kareem's the goat. Kareem got they
yeah,
because people be like,
Shaq.
oh, Kareem got the best basketball resume of all time. Maybe it was high school.
Yeah,
High school won four state championships, and college won three national championships, and the NBA won five championships, got six MVPs. So it's all like people say Wilt. Oh well, Bill Russell. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant. All subjective. It's all there is no criteria.
uh
There's
huh,
no set. The NBA did not say this is the criteria to be the GOAT. It's all just made up. It's just to have banter, and it's
yeah,
and that's why I don't get when people get so upset, with the GOAT talk, because it's like, okay, if you think Bill Russell's the GOAT because he has 11 championships, okay. You think
mhm,
Wilt Chamberlain's the GOAT because he's a freakish athlete and had 100 points in the game and, was at one point the all-time leading scorer in the NBA? Like, that's fine. That's your
yeah,
era. It's also era dependent. Like, some people didn't get to watch Michael Jordan, so they think
yeah,
LeBron's their GOAT. I can't
yeah,
get mad at a kid who only watched LeBron James, throughout their childhood, and get you didn't. Well, yeah, like that's fine. Like the same way when people I grew up said Mel, I think Mel Magic's better was the GOAT. I was like, I didn't watch Magic. I grew up in the Kobe, Shaq, Duncan era. Jordan. I was at tail end. I was like 8. When he retired. With the
yeah,
Bulls last time, so I didn't really get watched too much or understand it, but then people will just say no, it's Jordan, it's Jordan. Then if you say it's LeBron, then it gets
yeah,
crazy. It's like arguing over like a Bugatti and a Lamborghini. It's like, yeah, I mean, you
yeah,
have your preference, but it's still a supercar. Still a tremendous car. And if you're telling
yeah,
me, I'll take the Lamborghini and you're gonna give me the Bugatti, I'm not complaining. So when people get all wrapped up in the LeBron versus Jordan or whatever debate, I just think it's silly. It's just
yeah,
who cares? Who cares? I really don't care. If you think Jordan's the GOAT, cool. I'm fine with. I'm not gonna get people get
yeah,
so mad. If I say LeBron's the GOAT, then people get freaked out when I say LeBron, and I'll say right, I think LeBron's the greatest of all time, and that just recently changed. Like, it just the last few years, I've lamented him as the GOAT. People, you would think I said, I cussed out their mama. I'm like, I think he's the GOAT, and I think Jordan's too. So we're getting mad over 1 and 2. I was like, flip
yeah,
it. If you think Jordan's 1 and LeBron's 2, cool. I don't get mad. LeBron's the second greatest player of all time. Okay, that's cool. That means
yeah,
that's still a great accomplishment if there was such a list. But remember, it's subjective. It's not a real. There's no real criteria. So when people get all upset when you say LeBron, especially now if you say LeBron's the GOAT and you're a
Oh
Michael Jordan
yeah,
truther, it's because one thing the NBA has done is they made Jordan's career perfect because it's like he's 6 for 6. But there's other aspects of the career. Like he struggled, like the Celtics were whooping his ass in the beginning of this year. Detroit was whooping his ass.
yeah,
You have to, that's a part of the Michael Jordan. It's not just, 6 for 6. And then they forget those 2 years he retired, but he didn't really, he retired for a year and a half, came back for Orlando, and then they lost to Orlando. So like the thing with Michael Jordan is they've made his career look perfect. Like he's never had any, no,
yeah.
nothing. But then they forget about the Wizards years too. So like it's Michael Jordan is like you can't do no wrong, and I think
It's one thing
people are
that he,
afraid that someone's getting close to someone's,
yeah,
lamented as a GOAT, and LeBron is legit in the room with Jordan, and people don't
yeah,
like. People simply, you could tell because nobody's ever felt this way about any other player in NBA history
yeah,
until LeBron came into the league and set the league by storm, and still doing it 23 years in.
yeah. And a lot of people always, I mean, I don't know, I will respectfully disagree that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, but the
Mhm.
thing is, he is 6-0 in the playoff in the finals,
Fine.
so that's a big reason to me. If you could be 6-0 in the finals and never let it go to a game 7,
No, all that
yeah,
is crazy and impressive. But I will say this too. Like we look at LeBron's 4-6 in the finals, right?
yeah,
And we kind of use that as a negative because
mm,
because he's under 500 in the finals. So we look at it as a bad thing, but it's like he lost in the finals. It's not like he lost in the first round those years. He's lost in the finals. Like he literally lost, and we have to look at the context of it, who he lost to. Like a lot of those teams were against those Warriors teams that had KDs. I mean,
yeah,
not a lot of the even the great teams of the great Boston team, the Lakers team. They would have trouble beating those Warriors teams, because
mhm,
that's a lot of shooting. You can't. It's simply hard to stop. You can't. Three of the best
yeah,
shooters of all time on one team. I mean, you can only do so much. I mean, listen, LeBron came back. The Cavs came down 3-1, and they essentially created the Warriors because the Warriors are like, okay, we can't beat LeBron as is with Harrison Barnes as the 3. We got to go
yeah,
upgrade big, and they upgraded by getting the second best player in the league,
yeah,
behind in KD. Like at that point, you're like, okay, like this is impossible to stop. So,
yeah,
it's the 6-6 is obviously that's tremendous. And you said he never went to a game 7, and
mm,
that's great. But there's other aspects of his career too that we have to add. We just because we do it with LeBron, like, oh, he lost it. No, then we got to do it with Jordan too. It just can't go
yeah,
for one player, like, and then that's to feel like that's the bad discourse I don't like, and then you have to like kind of crap on one player to try to ante up the other one. I don't like that either. They're both tremendous. Those are to
mhm,
me the two greatest players I've ever seen play basketball, and I don't want to pit one against each other because of a stupid make believe list. I just
yeah,
want to appreciate Jordan's greatness, what he did, and LeBron's greatness, what he just like I respect what Kobe did, just like I respect what KD has done, or any other player I respect.
yeah, absolutely. Um, but is there any views on your podcast that you would like people to check out
What was
that
that?
you've done? Any interviews that you
Oh,
already done on your that you like to have people check out?
okay. So this one I did probably right after Kobe Bryant passed away. So I interviewed an author who has written many books about the Jordan Bulls and Kobe Bryant, and Roland Lazenby is his name, and we had him on, yeah, probably 2020, like summer 2020,
Yeah,
and we talked about Kobe because he did a lot of he was writing a book about Kobe, and he had talked about the helicopter. It was the same helicopter
oh
that
yeah,
and there's there's a there's a point in the interview where he talks about it, and it gave me chills because he was like that damn helicopter he went on, and just the way he said it, it really like moved me. It was really telling. I was like, oh, that was powerful. And I remember people listening to that, and I just said, just listen to this part, and they were like, whoa, that was strong. Like he was like he couldn't like he was like it was the same helicopter that unfortunately he freaking passed away. That talk he had talked him. He had,
Hmm.
they had a passing. They were passing through in the facility, and he was on his way somewhere on the helicopter, I believe. And and then like yeah, that's one of my better interviews that I've gotten to do.
Okay.
Um,
How?
another another good one. I had Kenny Anderson on, former All Star. I think he played for the Celtics too for a little bit.
Okay.
Um, I had him on. That was a great, because he's from New York, and so that was a good interview. I got to do with him. Like I said, all my YouTube channel is still in the archives. You could, get it,
Yeah.
scroll a little down, but it's a few years back. Some of those interviews, but those are some of my better ones that I've done. Like, those
How
are.
often? How often you do them?
I don't get to do it as much as I used to, simply
Okay.
because work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you got to pay the bills, and sometimes and I don't live close to my job, so it's I got some long
Understood.
days. But I try to do it on my off days. If I have time, like I'll have some draft shows coming up that I'll do, and I've done TikToks too because TikTok is a lot easier than try to produce a podcast. Sometimes I'll do a TikTok live because I'll just all you gotta do is press live and just talk. So sometimes that's a
Mhm.
little bit easier to do than set up. It's a lot doing a podcast, setting up, and then the post stuff, the post show stuff, pre-show stuff, getting the guests, show
Mhm.
timing, editing, all that stuff, then producing, making sure everything sounds good. And
Yeah.
sometimes TikTok live, you just hit the button and then boom, just talk cool. So sometimes I do that. But yeah, on my off days, I try to I'll try to record.
Yeah.
Like I said, not I wish I could do it more.
Hmm.
I don't do it as much as I did just a few years ago, but
Yeah.
when I do, it's still a lot of fun when I get to do it.
Understood. Uh, Before we sign off, tell when do you upload? Like what a certain time or what day of the week? You upload them, and where can they find you on social media?
All is dependent on the show. If it's
Okay.
a show that I feel like that needs like video attached to it,
Mhm.
if it's about like the draft where I'm gonna add video, it may take me a couple days to edit it. Um, but usually I try to drop it on a Thursday morning,
For new
uh,
episodes of the podcast.
Thursday,
Okay.
Friday morning. I think the morning is the best because you got that morning commute to work,
Yeah.
pop on, or afternoon. That's another thing too. I figured out is timing of
Yeah.
shows. I used to just post whenever, and then I realized, okay, there's a science to this, and I realized, okay, the best times to drop podcast is either right in the morning, right where you're getting ready for work, and you need something, to listen to on the way to work, or on the afternoon drive.
Yeah.
You're going to be sitting in traffic, put on a podcast. So those are the two time slots I um, usually pick. So it's either bright and early or try to shoot for that morning, that afternoon drive.
Okay. And I assume off the ball pod is your social media handle for all social medias.
Yeah, so on Twitter, Instagram, those are my that's my handle, and then
Yeah.
on my YouTube channel is Off the Ball Podcast. You could check that out. I forgot the exact handle name, but if you
Yeah. It's
type
fine.
in Off the Ball Podcast, you'll see us like a soccer podcast. They're called Off the Ball, but if you go scroll down a little bit, you see Off the Ball Podcast. You'll see it's similar. You'll see the logo is similar to what I have up there. It's kind of similar to that. So if you see the basketball with a microphone and my
Okay.
face on it, like a caricature of me, you'll see that's
Yeah.
my.
All right. And without further ado, that'll be it for this interview.
Are you looking for the most fun entertainment on YouTube? then welcome to the Network 3000. We have game shows, logs, live streams, podcasts, live shows, sport videos, gaming videos, plus more. Subscribe today. We hope you enjoy the Network 3000 on YouTube.
All right, everyone, and it's now time for Deal or No Deal Jackpot with Monday Holler. How are you doing, Monday?
I'm okay, David.
Are you ready to get started with the show here tonight?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's play Deal or No Deal Jackpot right now. All right. To win big at this game, it's got to take a wall of guts, a wall of luck, and of course, a great sense of timing. So, without further ado, let's bring in the cases. Game, please. Alrighty. They are 26 cases holding different amounts of money inside. We don't know what is in what case, but we do know that the grand prize tonight is $50 million here on this evening. Because we reached our limit. From now on, until somebody wins the jackpot, that is our jackpot prize. So Monday, take a case you need to keep for the game.
Well, it's Friday the 13th, so let's pick number 13.
As for recording this, yes. Hopefully, if case number 13 is lucky for that $50 million grand prize, but in order to determine that, we're going to open up the other 25 cases. Everyone knows it's not in yours. We're going to start by picking 6 cases all at once right now. And
Well,
go for it.
let's start with number 1.
5 more.
Number 1, yep.
Go on. Pick more cases.
Let's do number 26.
What else?
Number 9. 18. 8. 16.
Okay. Number 1 has 25 million. Come on. Number 26. $2,500. Number 16. 29. $50. Number 18. $13 million. And number 8. $250. And number 16, $500. Can you see and hear? Can you see and hear the game good?
Yep.
Okay. And you go for ifs. You have 50 seconds to make your decision. $1,243,000. The question is.
No deal. No deal.
Sorry if you cannot see the blue text that is using on there. I'm using a different bar for this one. 5 more cases.
Okay, now let's do 2, 4, 5, 7, and 25.
Let's start with number 2 for the case. There's the penny.
Bye bye, Penny.
Number 4, 10 million. Number 5, $5,000. Number 7, 37,500. And number 25, $10,000.
Okay.
Okay. Now it's time for the next big offer here tonight. And that big offer is for your second one of the night. $1,500,000. You don't know deal.
No deal.
No deal. Yeah, I keep going no deal, especially when $50 million is going to play. 4 more cases
Okay.
now.
Let's do 21 through 24.
Okay. 21. $20,000. Number 22. $15,000. Number 23. 3,750,000. And number 24.
Oh, there's the 50 million.
And jackpot series lives on for another day. But you still have $37.5 million left in play, along with other $1 million amounts as well. The next big offer is $2,355,000, despite the $50 million that we have. Deal or no?
No deal. No deal.
No deal. No deal. 3 cases now.
Okay, 10, 17, and 20.
Let's start with number 10. Open the case.
Oh, a big one gone. At least it's with $20 million left.
So far, anyway. $25,000.
And the smallest right now is $12.50.
Number 20, $2.5 million. Alright, it could have been worse, but we have to see what happens here with the next big offer. $1,168,000.
No. No deal.
No deal, alright.
Okay, two more cases. 11. And 19.
Number 11 has, come on, upside please.
5 million.
Okay.
20 million still there. And there's the 20 million.
Not anymore.
That means the largest amount is now 1,250,000.
Yep, you still got that in play. And from now on, it's 1 case at a time.
Yep.
And pick off for $255,000.
No deal.
Alright, no deal there. One case at a time now.
Okay, let's do 3.
3, open the case, please. Alright, $50,000. I'll take that. And the next big offer, please. $323,000.
No deal.
No. All right, no deal. What do you want to pick?
Number 6.
Number 6. Open the case, please. Okay, 250,000. Now the board is even with $1,250,000 still in play that could be in your case. Bank offer $379,000. Question is, deal or no deal?
No deal.
No deal. Alright, pick your case now.
One above the case that I have. The 14.
Number 14 is $3,750. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. $612,000. Deal or no deal?
Believe it or not, I'm gonna take the deal.
You sure with $1,250,000 still in play?
I'm taking the deal. I'm taking the deal.
$612,000. All right. Okay. Now, and it's now time to see if we made a good deal here. If you said no deal, would it pick 12 or 15?
15 will be my next selection.
Which one?
15.
15? Okay. Number 15 would have had. Okay, I have $1,000. Would have been neck and neck there with the next offer of $644,000. 2 cases swept. Number 13 would have had 1,250,000 or 1,250. Kind of fitting. But which one is the bigger one? You made a good deal, $1,250. With your case the whole time with $1,250,000. Any other case.
Nice.
That's gonna wrap this up here on next time. See you next time. Good night. Alright everyone, it's our time for the next interview here on the 3000 Hangouts. Please welcome a member of the Locked On Podcast Network, Nick. How you doing, Nick?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me, David.
You're welcome. And for those who don't know who Nick is, he is a digital producer and social media manager on the network, and you are a oil. No, Orioles. I get confused with the team. Orioles fans. The Orioles mix me up with uh, the pronunciation, but um, Orioles fan, and you also cover the Rangers on a separate podcast as well. So those are your two NHL teams that are your favorites, I assume.
Yeah, Rangers. If you're watching on YouTube, my entire forearm is the Ranger logo, and I've been doing the Oilers pod for 2.5 seasons now, so I've definitely taken a liking to them. I still don't call myself a fan of the Oilers because I wasn't in the trenches last decade. They had a very miserable 2010s, and I would feel a little disingenuous trying to claim some of the success of the last few years. Very much enjoyed the team. They are significantly more fun to watch than the Rangers right now. Makes the job a lot easier when the team is fun, and the Oilers the last 2 years have made my job very easy. Your team goes to the Stanley Cup final. It makes doing a podcast a lot of fun. I feel bad for some of the other hosts on the network who their teams miss the playoffs. Their season ends middle of April, and they got to do content for the entirety of April, May, June. The
Yeah.
last 2 years, my off season has started in July, and it has made my job significantly easier.
How come you want to start in July and not until like the preseason, if you will?
So we have daily obligations where, because we have ads on our show, we need to do X number of shows per week and per month to fulfill the ad obligation if we want to get paid. So it's a
Okay.
very straightforward system of you do X number of shows, you read X number of ads, you get paid out based on the number of ads you read out over the course of the month. If you do a show the
Yeah.
5 days a week, you get the minimum requirement and you're eligible for the bonuses. So you're really incentivized to put the work in, because the more views you get, the more listens you get, the more money you're going to get. So it's a very straightforward linear system.
Okay. That's understandable. So tell the people of the podcast that you do, part of Locked On and of course the Rangers podcast, and what roles do you do?
So for the Oilers, I am the sole on-camera talent. I do that Monday through Friday. I usually do the show the day before, so it goes up for the morning commute, because that's generally when you're going to get your most listens. On the East Coast, that means there's a lot of nights where I'm up till 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I go to sleep at 3:30, wake up 9, try and gut out the day. The Rangers pod is a little more long form. It's once a week. It's a full hour. I do it with one of my friends, Andrew Chaldy, who works for Sirius XM. We've been doing it
Mm,
for about 4 NHL seasons now. I was doing my own show for a while, started during COVID because I needed to do something to build a portfolio, because no one was really
yeah.
hiring, but I knew I needed clips to post. So I started my own show. I did that for about 2.5 years. Andrew approached me, asked if I wanted to do a Rangers show with him, and we've been doing that since. But on there, I do the video editing, and I'm one of the two on camera people. We split the work evenly. He's the audio engineer and producer. I'm the video producer, and then we both promote the show whenever we do. If we do appearances on other shows like this one, or if we do anything on social, generally we're plugging the pod.
How did you discover the application for the Locked On podcast network for you to be part of their team?
So Locked On, it's interesting. One of my friends, so while I was doing the show by myself from like 2020 to 2022, I made a lot of friends. I interviewed a lot of people, just like we're doing right now, through people I met
Yeah.
on Twitter, LinkedIn, cold DMing people. Hey, would you come on my podcast for a half hour? Come on for an hour, whatever. One of my friends I talked to, she was doing Locked On Flames by herself at the time, and I asked her to interview. I interviewed her on the show a couple times. We talked about the Flames when they were really good. The one year in 2021, 2022, where they were pushing for the President's Trophy. They went to the second round of the playoffs. And then
Yeah.
the following fall, I want to say about September or so, she asked what my interest would be about being her co-host 1 or 2 days a week. And yeah, I said, sure, I'd love to help out. I always am up for more work, always up to learn a little bit. And from there, we did a full season where I was on 2 days a week. And then the following season, the 23-24 season, I was up to 5 days a week. I started doing Monday to Friday, full-time co-host. She would edit the audio, I would edit the video. And then April of 24 rolls around, and the NHL manager for Locked On asked me to do the Oilers on an interim basis, just as far as they went in the playoffs. Just do it. We don't have a full-time host. We need someone to do it because this is an opportunity. I said, yeah, sure, whatever. That's fine. And they went to the Stanley Cup final. I doubled the subscriber count on YouTube and on the audio platforms. And they asked me to keep doing it full time. And I've been doing the Oilers ever since.
And how did you become uh, a fan of the hockey teams you are rooting for right now?
The Rangers, that's just, I'm from Queens, wasn't doing the Islanders because that's a Long Island thing, and the Devils are a New Jersey team, so the Rangers made a natural sense for me. For Edmonton, I've always enjoyed watching McDavid and Draisaitl play. They're two of the 5, 6 best players in the world. I've loved the player Evan Bouchard's become over the last few years. He's really emerged as one of the best defensemen in the world, and more than anything, they make my job fun. If you got to do a show every single day, you got to find something interesting. And when the team is
Yeah,
good, it makes it really easy. And the Oilers, not so much this year, they're a little more average than the last 2 years, but the last 2 years have been a lot of fun. And I'm very grateful the teams have been good.
of course. How did he get into hockey as well? Because I know I always find it interesting on how people get into certain sports and all that, and all that. So, how did the hockey start for you, becoming your favorite sport?
It's a good question. I started with baseball. Baseball was the first sport I was really all the way in on. I was the magic of being a little kid, and the summer feels like it's 300 days long. Yeah, I thought that was
Mm,
the green monster. I wasn't sure out of the
yeah,
corner of my eye. As a kid, summer feels like it's 300 days long, and baseball is there for you
it does.
every
It
day.
does. It does, and it goes by quick with the summer.
Now as an
Go ahead.
adult, there's no difference. Summer is just another season in the year. But as a kid, baseball is there for you as a friend during the summer. I picked up football because that's what everybody talked about at school, and I wanted to be able to contribute in the conversations. Hockey was largely a product of the environment. Baseball ends and basketball ends around the time baseball gets going. Hockey is around from September through June now because the season's so protracted. But I would say more than anything, it was just I struck while the iron was hot. I really got invested in the Rangers like 2011, 12 or so, when they really first got good in the 21st century for the first time. They went to the conference final in 2012, and that was the first real taste I'd had of success with any of my teams, other than the Giants winning the Super Bowl. But hockey, you get 82 regular season games, your team wins 49, 50 of them, you get a really good shot in the arm day after day, week after week. And it really stuck with me. The year after that, they went to the second round, then the cup final, then the conference final again. And then they tore
Mhm.
it down and they built it back up again. And they went to the conference final 2 more times. So more than anything, I would say was the Rangers being successful at a really formative
Mm,
time of my life when I was like 13 or 14. And I was really looking for niche interests. And I was looking, trying to figure out what my hobbies were going to be for the rest of my life. I settled on
yeah,
hockey because the Rangers were good at the right time.
yeah. You gotta, you know, that's something that I gotta do in life is find something fun you want to do, and stick to it. So that way, you won't be bored all day doing whatever. So I agree with you on that part. But uh, do you prefer watching the games on TV or listen to them on the radio? Because I'm becoming more of a radio person these days.
It depends on the sport. Baseball is perfect on the radio. Baseball is
Yeah,
optimized for radio. For football, TV definitely the best format. Hockey, I'm really only listening on the radio or only listening if I'm working on something. Like there's a TV over my shoulder here to the right, so when we're done, I'm going to throw on a West Coast game. But I'm mostly going to be at my desk paying attention to something I have to work on for tomorrow, doing show prep for deadline content. But I'll listen, but hockey far and away has to be on TV. Hockey is the best in person, to be honest with you. Any level
yeah,
of hockey is really impressive in person because the game just goes so much faster than it does on TV.
yeah. And you know, the, the only bad thing about the radio, for hockey is that you cannot see the fights. I love watching hockey because of the fights, especially in person. I go to a lot of minor league hockey games in Worcester, and those fights are very exciting, and the fans are really into the game. When you're there in person, and I feel like that's what you know that's how sports should be. Is that the fans should be into it all the time. They know about everything, and they they already have the love for the sport, and we saw that recently with the Olympics.
Oh, absolutely. The Olympics were incredible. And the thing that hockey struggles with is because it's a niche sport, it's kind of hard to get people invested. The season starts when football is starting to get
Yeah,
rolling. It overlaps with a lot of the other casual sports when the playoffs are on. The NBA playoffs run concurrently. You get the Masters, you get March Madness, you get the major races in F1 and NASCAR. You get a lot overlapping with hockey, especially during the postseason. But for my money, the hockey playoffs are still the best playoffs there are in the four sports.
it
I love the
is.
NFL. I love Major League Baseball. I as much as the NBA regular season stinks, the NBA playoffs are very good. But the hockey playoffs, there's something magical about the prospect of a hockey game
Mhm.
that can never end because you get the right game on the right night and you're there for 3 or 4 overtimes. And it's something that the other sports, baseball can do it a little bit where you get the occasional 16, 17 inning game, like that one Mariners Astros game in the wild card round a couple years
And
ago.
and the Dodgers,
Yeah,
World
the
Series one,
Dodgers. Yeah, the Dodgers and the Red Sox, whatever that was, 2018 or 19, where it
and
went like
and the last one too. This
yeah,
past, yeah,
yeah. I forgot about that being this past year. Time goes very fast. But yeah,
yeah,
there's no
yeah,
such thing as a casual hockey fan. You're either a psycho or you're not really that interested. It
yeah.
because it is a niche sport. It's kind of like social media. Like 95, I think it's like 90% of people who post on social media regularly is 5% of the users, and then everybody else just kind of looks at what everyone else posts. It's the same thing because hockey's such a niche sport. The vast majority of the people who are engaged with it are hyper engaged with it.
Yeah, and it's, do you think people need to know I meant like for those who want to get into hockey and become a sport, become a fan of it. Do you think they really need to know everything about hockey? Because I still don't know everything about the rules of hockey. Like I still don't get why there's that icing rule. Like I just really don't get that part. Still, but um, you know, what do you think about that?
I think everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah.
It's having the willingness to say, I don't understand how this works, but I'm curious and I want to try and figure it out and I want to learn. Icing is a
Mhm.
relatively new rule. That's only in the last 30 to 40 years of a 100-year-old sport because at the end of games, teams would just bomb the puck the other way down the ice to kill time and waste time. This is an incentivized way to make defenses actually play defense as opposed to just trying to waste time on the clock. That's the origin of the rule, where it comes from and what they're trying to do. All of the rule changes in hockey over the last 10 to 15 years have been skewed towards offense. That's a relatively newer one. The two-line pass, which has only been out of the game for 30 years or so. The trapezoid, which is only about 30 years old as well. Hockey has really changed the rules a lot since the 90s to try and incentivize offense more. It reached really an ugly tipping point in the early 2000s. And frankly, the post like lockout, like 05 to 2010, guys are winning the Hart Trophy with like 90 points. McDavid, I think, has 102 right now, and it's the fifth of Mark. So just to give you a little bit of perspective of how much the game has changed in the last 20 years or so.
uh, of course. And do you think let's go back to that time, with the lockout. Do you think hockey has been more better than ever before than it was 20 years ago? And do you think it'll get better than the NBA, than the NFL? You think there'll be a time where, hockey will be way better than it ever was before?
So if you're talking about in terms of like viewership and attention, probably not. The closest the NHL has ever been was the early 90s, and then they had the lockout in 04. They had the partial lockout
Uh,
in 2013. But as far as like quality of play, yes, the game's going to keep getting better.
yeah.
If you watch the Olympics, even as a casual
Mm,
hockey fan, that gold medal game, that's where hockey's going. It won't be 5 years
I,
from now. It might not even be 10 years from now, but every single person is going to be able to skate like that and carry the puck like that in the not so distant
mm,
future.
that was a great hockey game. And, um, I mean, I don't know why you have those Canada things behind you, but uh, USA, we own hockey. I don't know why Canada thinks that they're the best in the world with hockey, but yet uh, they haven't had a team in the AHL in Canada that have a Stanley Cup in 30 years. So I don't. Why? Why do Canada think that they're the most successful at hockey, but yet the USA has been in the other than the four. the nations, we've been the experts of that is concerned.
So I think it's historical. Hockey is very interwoven to the Canadian identity. There's a book, Skating Through the Ages, I think it's called. A college professor at the University of Ottawa wrote it about the Native American origins of the game and where it comes from and the traditional way it's played and how the game has changed as it's become a rich person sport, as it's become more of a white person dominated sport versus what it was 120 years ago when it was loosely collegiate games or Native American tribe based games. It's an identity thing. You asked the right Canadian about the 1972 Summit Series against the Soviets. They talk about that the same exact way we talk about the Miracle on Ice as Americans. The lineage of the dominant Canadian hockey player is really interwoven into the fabric of the sport's history. The first 40 years or so of the league up through about the 50s, 70-85% of the guys in the league are Canadian because the rights for players are doled out based on territories. That's why the Canadians have the dominant teams they do. That's why the Red Wings have a really nice pocket of teams in the 40s and 50s, because it used to be there wasn't a draft. You got certain guys based on where they grew up, where they were born, and that's how you claimed
Yeah,
them. It's kind of the way we zone middle schools and elementary schools now. That's how NHL players got doled out. That's why the Rangers, the Blackhawks, and the Bruins weren't as competitive as the two Canadian original six teams and the Red Wings, who had the access to people who grew up in Michigan, Minnesota, etc. But as far as why Canada still, they've won, I want to say, 3 of the 6 gold medals at the Olympics with NHL players at them. They've always had the best player in the world. I think that would be the real watershed moment as far as we're talking about the changing of the guard, of it being an American sport. If the best player in the world is ever American, I think then you could have a conversation about the cultural
yeah,
impact on the sport. But you can draw a direct lineage from Gordie Howe to Rocket Richard to Gretzky to Lemieux to Crosby to McDavid. Now you can arguably say McKinnon's next. You could say Celebrini's next. Now, Austin Matthews has been really close. Jack Hughes very well could be 4 or 5 years from now. Jack
yeah,
Eichel is right there as well. I think Eichel is one of the 5-10 best players in the world. America's right there. They won the gold medal in hockey with NHL players for the first time. They've dominated the women's game over the last 15 to 20 years as well. Hockey in
yeah,
America also has the added benefit of demographics. There are a lot more people in the United States than there are in Canada. And the college system here, which is where a majority of the women's players develop, and a lot of the NHL guys go to now, or at least the National Development Team program, which is a precursor to college for a lot of these guys. The infrastructure is really in place now in the United States to cultivate young talent, to get it to at least the college level and get it in
yeah,
the door of the NHL. I think 17 of the 24 guys who were on the gold medal team 2 weeks ago went through the U.S. National Development Team program. So the U.S. has made a real concerted effort, and you could say they've closed the gap. It's really just more so about the culture, because like we talked
yeah,
about before, I don't think you'll ever see hockey catch football or baseball.
yeah,
Basketball has had some lulls in the last 15 to 20 years, but I think basketball, especially because basketball taps into the international market a lot better than hockey does, I think basketball is probably out of reach as well. But there's nothing wrong with that. Hockey is a great game, and how many people watch it doesn't really impact me. I'm not in advertising. I don't sell ads to the NHL. I don't own a team. If I owned a team, I'd be a little more concerned, but I'm perfectly
mhm,
happy with hockey, what it is. I want to keep making it better. I want more people involved. I want people like you who are casual hockey fans to want to watch hockey
yeah,
more.
yeah. And it's all about when I go watch a sport game, I want to see a classic game. I want to see those overtime ones. I want to see more fights. Like not as the game is a classic. That's what I know the most about sports. It's also bringing people together, and that's what I love about it. And I would say I would give credit to but the Boston Bruins fans. When as a hockey fan yourself, Nick, when you talk to these Boston Bruins fans, I know they're really into the game. They're really passionate about the game. They know the players. They know all that. And if we continue to be like that as a fan base for hockey, I think it can go to that next level.
That's your goal, man. You want to have people at both the top and the bottom of the funnel. That's what you talk about in social media marketing, is trying to get people on both ends. The people who, like you're describing, the hyper competitive fan, you're trying to find a way to get them even more engaged. Can you convert them
Yeah.
to a partial season ticket holder? Can you get them to buy more merchandise? Can you get them more involved in team events in the community? And then at the
Yeah.
other end of the spectrum, you got to be getting new people in the door. You got to be growing your pie. How many people can you get? How many unique viewers can you get? That's really the conundrum hockey's facing right now, because they've really tapped out the diehard market, and hockey's
Mhm.
expensive. You know, not everyone has
Yeah.
access to it growing up as a kid. So you don't get to play it in high school the same way you could basketball or football. And it's a specialized skill set. Not a lot of people can afford private skating lessons. So I think hockey has demographic issues against it in comparison to the other sports, especially because it's not very accessible as a kid, because you need your
Yeah.
parents to be able to afford to play it. But like you said, the fans that are here are as passionate as it gets. You know, the Bruins weren't supposed to be that good this year. They've pleasantly surprised people, and that fan base is
Yeah.
very much back. You know, less 12 months ago tomorrow, they wanted Don Sweeney's head on a pike for trading Brad Marchand for a second
Yeah.
round pick. You look at the situation now, what they were able to get in return for Brandon Carlo, what the team has been this year. It's a really pleasant surprise. And it's one of the great fan bases in the NHL, are Bruin fans.
Absolutely. Um, so how do you you know, watch hockey nowadays? You know, do you like to pay attention to both teams? Like, do you only choose one of the teams? Do you get any NHL TV packages or whatever to watch all the games at once, or how do you do that nowadays?
So thankfully, because the Oilers and Rangers are in different time zones, their games usually don't overlap unless they're both on the road at the same time, or the Rangers are in
Yeah.
one, etc. But for the most part, they don't play at the same time. So there are a lot of nights where I go 7 to 9:45 where I'm watching the Rangers, and then the Oilers come on 10:05, 10:15, latest 10:30. And I'm watching the Oilers till 1 or 2 in the morning. And
Mhm.
on the nights they do overlap, I have ESPN Plus, I have HBO Max. So I can watch the Adam Market. I can watch every Oilers game because I need to do the podcast. And the Rangers are going to be on local TV or one of the national channels I get with cable anyway. So
Yeah.
accessibility is one thing I'll give the NHL. I mean, even if you're a casual hockey fan, the $8-9 a month, whatever it is for ESPN Plus, is very much worth it, because you get all the Adam Market games as long as your
Yeah.
team isn't playing in one of them.
Absolutely. Uh, do you watch college hockey and the minor league hockey teams as well?
College hockey, I'll check in on the Bean Pod every year just out of curiosity, because
Yeah.
I know that's a unique cultural thing, and I do like Boston a lot as a city. And then the Final Four, the Frozen Four, I'll check in on if there are any particular prospects that interest me. But in all honesty, I don't watch a lot of minor league or other professional leagues, European, etc. I'm watching 2 NHL teams. I write about the Flyers occasionally too, so I'm checking in on the
Mhm.
Flyers as well. And I do the National Lockdown show on Thursdays, so I like keeping tabs on everybody. My goal is to try and watch every team in the league at least once a month. Now, I know there are some bad teams where I've neglected, I haven't checked in on them in a while, but my goal in doing the national show every Thursday is I have something I know about all of these teams that's relatively
Yeah.
fresh in my mind.
I, I agree with that. And speaking of ESPN, uh, do you have a favorite um national broadcast for NHL games like the TNT, ESPN? Do you have a particular favorite?
Um, I'm going to be honest with you, as somebody who watches a lot of the Canadian broadcasts, they have it so much better up there. The Sportsnet and TSN feeds, like the camera quality is in 4K. The broadcasters are specialized. Of TNT ESPN, I really like Bob Wischusen, who's the ESPN B team commentator. He does the games with Ryan Callahan. And then for
Okay.
TNT, I really like Brendan Burke, who does the Islander games locally, but he's the TNT B team broadcaster as well. I think Burke is probably the best play-by-play guy in hockey right now. He's still relatively young. He's got a long career
Yeah.
ahead of him. I really enjoy his work. There are a lot of good guys around the league. I really like Jim Jackson, who does the Flyers. I candidly, I really miss the old group the Bruins used to have with Andy Brickley and why can't I think of his name, with the glasses, who was always very inflammatory. And this is
Jack.
going to annoy me. Jack Michael. No, yeah. Yeah. And then there's Jack Michaels who does the Oilers.
Yeah,
There's Chris Cuthbert who does the Leafs. Hockey's got a lot of great broadcasters, in all honesty.
yeah, absolutely. Um, do you like going to the NHL games too?
I went to the Ranger game on Monday. They're
Oh,
miserable,
yeah,
but hockey's hockey. You know,
yeah,
I will always go to games when the Oilers are here. I go when they play the Rangers, when they play the Devils, when they play the Islanders. If there are
yeah,
guys out there, like when Vegas is here, I like to go see the Golden Knights so I could see Eichel. When the Leafs were here historically, I would go to see Marner. Now same team overlap. There's a lot of guys
uh-huh,
around the league I like keeping tabs on. And the Devils are only about a half hour's drive from where I live. Their tickets are a third of the price of what it is to go to a Ranger game. So
yeah,
I've really come to like going to Devils games to watch the other team. It's cheaper, it's a shorter drive, and it's fun. You know, I always want to
yeah.
watch the game in person if I can. You know, hockey is so much better in person.
100%, I agree with that, very much. Do you have, for those who want to get into hockey, is there a team on the horizon people should pick a team for right now if they want to follow a good team, a team that hasn't won every single year that you think that they will, grab onto to become their favorite NHL team?
There's a few really interesting teams that fit that description. We're kind of in a transition period where a lot of the teams of the last few years have taken a step back. The Rangers are going to miss the playoffs. The Maple Leafs are going to miss the playoffs. The Panthers are going to miss the playoffs all simultaneously. Those teams have all been locks for the playoffs for much of the last decade. And that's given opportunities. Montreal is a team that is very young and is going to have a lot of opportunities over the next 5 to 10 years to win a championship because the core of their team is really young. You know, their best core piece that's old is probably Nick Suzuki, and he's only 27. He was on the Canadian Olympic team. They've got Slavkovsky. They've got the rookie of the year from last year, Lane Hudson. They've drafted extremely well. They have a lot of draft picks to build. The Utah Mammoth have really come on strong this year. They're a really fun team that very similar to Montreal. A lot of their team is pretty young. You'll have a lot of opportunities. The Sharks, Macklin Celebrini is maybe the most exciting player in the league to watch right now. That's a team that's
Okay.
on the ascent. There are a lot of teams that are poised to make moments. Buffalo is probably going to make the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. The Red Wings are going to make the playoffs probably for the first time in 10 years. It's a real interesting transition period in the NHL, and there are a lot of teams that look poised over the next 3 to 4 years to have a really good shot at kind of jumping up into that contender group.
Do you have, if you had to pick one from each conference for people to pick a team for, what would it be?
Montreal and probably San Jose. I would say
Okay.
Utah because they're a little bit closer than San Jose is right now. Utah, I think, is in the last wild card spot in the West right now, and they've made a
Okay.
couple trades in the last few days to kind of bolster their team to shore things up to make the playoffs. But I think Montreal is going to have a really good team for a long time. And then San Jose, you've got Celebrini, and he's one of the most fun players in the world to watch. I think anytime you can lash on to one of those guys early in their career, it makes the journey a lot more fun.
I agree. Um, is there, going back to your podcast, any people that you interviewed on there that people should check out that you've done already?
So on the Oilers, I had Chris Pronger, the Hockey Hall of Famer, on earlier this season, and I think it was November or October. That was cool. That's one of my childhood heroes. Getting to talk to him a little bit about the
Nice.
contemporary NHL was really fun. Sam Rosen, the legendary Rangers broadcaster, who's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. We've had him on the Rangers show a couple times. We've had a couple different beat writers from across the NHL, not just Rangers, on the Rangers pod. But
Okay.
it's really rewarding. And I tell myself I want to interview more people, but then I have to accommodate scheduling, and most of the
Yeah.
time I'm recording the Oilers show at 2 in the morning, and then if I record it the next day, and it really depends on the game schedule. You know, in the summer you can mess around with it a little bit more because there aren't games to
Yeah.
work around. But I do want to get more guests. That's definitely a personal goal of mine.
Yeah, same here with my show as well. I usually like to do 3 a month to spread it out, but, it all depends on the schedule of the show for the year. Um, so, before we sign off, where can they find you on, social media, and, what time do you, post the podcast?
So on everything other than TikTok, it's just Nick Zararis, my name, Nick, Zararis. On TikTok, it's Nick Zararis Sports, same exact spelling, but with sports on at the end. The
Uh,
podcast, Oilers, goes out on game days as soon as the game is over. Every other day, it's usually midnight. It'll go out midnight Eastern. So 10 Mountain in the Oilers time zone. Locked on NHL, Hunter Hodes, who does Locked on Penguins, and I. We try and get that out
yeah.
between noon and 3 o'clock on Thursdays. And then Rangers, Liberty Blue usually goes out Monday afternoon, about noon or so, depending on the week. Tomorrow, I'll be streaming basically all day. My plan is to wake up, roll out of bed, and get the command center going, watch Trade Center on one screen, and live stream pretty much probably like 10 a.m. till the deadline at 3. So lots to look forward to in the hockey world.
Okay. And where can I find you on social media?
Nick Zararis is the handle. Nick Zararis on Twitter and Instagram. On TikTok, it's Nick Zararis Sports. The show's Locked On Oilers is on all the podcast platforms and YouTube. Ditto Liberty Blue podcast. That's on all the podcast platforms and YouTube as well.
All right. Well, without further ado, that will be it for this interview. We'll be right back. That's going to wrap this up here on the 3000 Hangouts for tonight on Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. And make sure to catch me in a little half hour from now at Red Radio because I'll be going live on there to play your favorite songs for those 2 hours. And I do apologize for no episode this past Wednesday, um, Thursday and Friday because I forgot to bring this for my Bluetooth keyboard and mouse when I was away, staying overnight at a relative's house. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, I couldn't do it that week, but it's okay. You know, we're back at it. We get back on track with the 9 week schedule, if you will, and I am looking forward to more David in the evenings to come. And happy opening night to all of you out there for baseball fans. And I'm assuming when is the first game tomorrow at 1:15 p.m. Pirates at the Mets. Uh, Pirates at the New York Mets. And then we have games at the 2:10 p.m. slot. And then 2:20. Then we have games at the 3:05. Then 4:10. Which one of those games is the Red Sox at the Reds? My Red Sox, that is. Then we have two games at 4:15, and then we have two night games separately. Here, no, one at 8:30 p.m. Eastern with the Diamondbacks at the Los Angeles Dodgers, and at 10:10 p.m. the Guardians at the Seattle Mariners. So those are the teams right there for those two night games. I kind of like it that way. One game only in the 8 p.m. slot and in the 10 p.m. slot, which is kind of makes it cool in a way for opening day. So yeah, but that's going to be it for this episode, and I will see you all tomorrow where we interview a Wheel of Fortune podcaster. More on that tomorrow on the 3000 Hangouts. See you all then, and good night, and happy opening day for baseball tomorrow.